Okay, this is not the sixth time I've tried to record this. I don't normally, well, I do normally. Now I do that when I'm really nervous about something makes me anxious. This is important for Impact. Not that I'm going to make or break Impact. Look, guys, I'm going to make this clear to you and anyone who's never seen me before, or someone returning, or maybe someone from Impact. Hi. Look, I've been reviewing Impact for 11 years. I'm one of the rare few that's still left that actually reviews the show that can get any sort of numbers. I mean, Fightful.com or Fightful, the YouTube channel, they can still get the numbers pretty easily because they are live streamed, they got high personalities. I'm one of the smaller YouTubers that is still reviewing it, that isn't someone who's connected to the damn business. I'm one of the rare few. And I'm not saying that my number that I got on my last video is what I normally don't. You see, I'm getting upset. What I normally get, my last video, I don't normally get numbers like that. It's that big. And it was a negative review of Impact, and I wasn't happy about it. I want to say this before even I start doing the review. If anyone from Impact or anybody here tweets to Impact and say, listen, we've noticed something is having a problem with your production. Hey, listen to us. We want to see the show. Please listen. Don't do tight camera angles. It hurts the company. That's just a small little thing out of other things that might be an issue. But this is a major one for the people at home. That's what I was trying to relay in the last video. Here it's different. This is when Trinity shows up. And it makes me a little nervous that I could screw this up. And I don't want to. So I just had to get that out of here. I've been nervous. I'm excited, but I'm nervous. So now, let's get to the opening of the show. Next to them giving a replay of what happened last week and what's been going on Impact, we get this match which feels like it shouldn't have been there. Now, it is... Look, the six-man tag should have been here. When it came to Macklin, Shera, Champagne Singh and Shera. It kind of feels strange hearing Rod sing as Champagne Singh. But it's funny. It reminds me of Happy Corbin. That's what that really reminds me of. And when it came to PCO as well as Rhino and Heath, I feel like they should have been here. I'm just saying it because when it came to Moose and Brian Myers versus Uemura as well as Gunjar, I feel like they could have been later in the show. Yes, I know they really don't have anything really substantial yet when it comes to Gunjar and Uemura. I said they should team up together. Due to the fact they're both very young, they're both not like 100% green, but they're both new wrestlers to Impact. They really don't have any major character development yet. I really wanted them to work together and then start working on the character development. Yes, Gunjar talks probably better English than Uemura. But I do believe that having them together and letting them start working on talking in the back, working on trying to come up with characters for each other, and then showing it on Impact may help them a lot to grow as wrestlers. And that's what I believe. And seeing them work with Brian as well as Moose is not bad. But I truly believe they didn't need to really open the show. That's just me. I think the six-man tag would have been better. But I can understand why they did it because Uemura as well as Gunjar, they're very young. They just started probably tagging together on... This might be the first time they're tagging at all. Or if they've been doing on BTI, I don't know. So I can understand why they did it. But I wish they had not. It was fine. And I'm not surprised to see Moose and Brian Myers win. They've been working together on and off since Matt Cardona is not there right now. So they stuck them together. And I'm not saying they don't work, but I'm hoping they'll elaborate more on their story of their tag team. Something. That's just me, guys, down below. Now, we got Sami Callihan, who was supposed to face Deaner as we thought last week when Deaner gave up the challenge. But Sami was waiting with his bat. Deaner came out with Khan and Angels, and guess what? When he got in the ring, he pretty much says, I'm not facing you. You're going to pay for what you've done, but it's not me, it's Khan, and he gets the beat down. And this is where I'm like, the first match, when it came to the tag, camera work was okay. But here they started zooming in and out, like this. On and off. It wasn't substantial. I want to make that clear. It was not a substantial zoom in and zoom out. If you have not seen yet anything of Impact, if you're not, just know that through most of the show that I am talking about, there were a lot of camera angles that were very zoomed in, and the cameramen themselves, the way they were positioned on that show was, you got the two sides of the ring here, one up the ramp, and the side here. They mostly stayed here, where one was right near the hard cam, and the other one was very, very close to where the ramp was. And instead of being mostly here or here on the sides, or at least one could be here sometimes and here, they kind of stayed here most of the time, which the camera angles look very funky. And it looked like that the hard cam was used a lot, and as much as possible to compensate for where the cameramen are. And I'm still confused why the cameramen continually, and hopefully someone from Impact can maybe leave a comment on Twitter or maybe on my video. I'm not saying I mean anything. Just someone from Impact leave an explanation of why you have your cameramen, no matter where the venue is, you have them doing such tight shots like this. What is the point? I don't understand why you're doing that, particularly if the people at home are not being able to see the internal workings of the match. And particularly that the cameramen, this time around, most of the time one was near the ramp and the other was not too far away from the hard cam. If they were on the edges of the ring, it wasn't always there, and the camera work was, don't know who kept switching the camera, but they didn't really set it up correctly. I don't know. I still don't understand why AEW can get it done. WWE can get it done. And I know MLW doesn't do bad work, but I don't understand. You've been around for 20 years. You guys should know how to do the camera work. You used to do it great. Now it's incredibly spotty. I'm just saying. And of course, when it came down to, we had a very interesting ending. Because instead of Sammy winning or Khan winning, it's DQ'd. And then a dozen people came in at least and whooped that Sammy ass. And because Sammy got his ass whooped by a whole bunch of people in yellow, that was the army of violence, he had to go to the one person he thought that can help him. And that's Rick Swann. The guy that literally, in real life, they became family. Real brothers, where both their relatives have died. And they've been there for each other like real brothers. Literally, I think they will be connected to the hip for the rest of their lives. They legitimately, no matter where and what companies they work, if one could still work and the other one won't, they will be connected for life. Their kids probably know each other and they love each other like cousins. That's got to be the way it is, because that's the way they are. And he's asking for help from his brother that pretty much made it very clear, you need to help me. So we're going to see if Sammy's going to be able to convince Rich to be by his side. I said 2.5 years ago that Sammy and Rick Swann should have been challenging for the WWE, for the Impact World Heavyweight title. I'm thinking about Trent, that's why I said WWE. I'm sorry, guys. But you get my point. That's just me, guys, down below. Now, we get Judy Threat, versus Alicia. Let me give it to you like this. Did they have a bad match? No. Did I believe that Alicia was going to win? No. Do I believe Judy Threat is a decent wrestler? Yes. But do I believe she should be a face? No. She keeps giving off a feeling of a heel. She just does. She came in as a face, and I can understand they got a good amount of heels on the show, but honestly, she feels like she should be a heel, not a face. She really does. She feels like she should be a heel, someone that you gotta hate. She's not a bad wrestler, She doesn't have a bad attitude. It's just that when she's in that ring, she doesn't feel like a face. She feels like a heel. And now that we know that not only she's on the roster now, we're going to be having a Killer Kelly and a Marsha Samovich, another match for next week. The question is going to be, will Judy basically be dealing with any of them? Because with those two there, I'm expecting her to eventually deal with one of them. That's what I'm expecting. Question is, when? Next, let's talk about Nick Aldis. This is where it gets interesting for Nick. Now, I know there's some people who just do not like Nick Aldis. For me personally, I like Nick because when he was in NWA, he did a very good job as their champion for literally near three years. Over 1,100 some odd days, nearing 1,200 days. It was near 1,200 days. And unless Triple H notices that Nick Aldis is the longest running champion of all times in recent history, he's going to have to convince Vince not to drop that title on Roman Reigns and make it 1,200 days, because Nick Aldis will have that moniker of being in the current day of the 2000s as the only person that's lasted nearly 3 years in a legacy promotion, kind of like WWE. NWA is the oldest known regional, organizational promotion, because it worked with everybody else, let them use their title. So they're the oldest known organizational promotion, not just promotion. So if they want to try and make a moniker for Roman Reigns, Vince should be really convinced, wait until 1,200 days and literally say that we have the longest running champion of all times in any company. That will piss everybody off. But as far as I'm concerned, Nick Aldis will always be the longest running champion if Roman Reigns drops that title. And he made it very clear. I want to go after the Impact title. It's got legacy. I came here for it. And then you get a little bit of Kenneth King coming out, making it very clear, what do you think you're doing? I thought you were doing well, but then it's like a pity party for you. You think you're going to be able to get what you want. And he made it very clear, Nick, that he wants to go through everyone in the roster to prove that he's earned it like he did in NWA. So he said, why not me and you go? And he said, no, you got to make sure you gain the right to face me. You want to go to the king? You got to prove it to me. Now, I believe he's going up against Gene next week. I can't remember his first name. But I think that's his first opponent in Impact since he's been gone for quite a long time. So it'll be interesting to see how Kenny King and Nick Aldis is going to interact. Now, I'm not saying Kenny's a great character. He's not. I'm not saying he's great promo. He's okay. But it's going to count on how Nick is going to have to make that mean something. Kenny's just going to be Kenny. But Nick, who's not been in Impact Wrestling in so many years, is going to have to prove that he has really improved from the time when he was Magnus. Now, Dirty Dango, Junior Detective. Dirty Dango, the Junior Detective. I'm sure if just Alex or JD did watch this show, if they're going to watch it and give their thoughts on Trinity, they're going to see Dirty Dango. Now, mind you, if they remember what happened with him and Tyler Breeze, Dirty Dango, they'll see the same kind of stick. But now it's being done in Impact Wrestling. Since he's now signed a multi-year contract, I believe, Dirty Dango, this is what he decided to do. He did work a little bit with Joe Henry. I still got to I'm sorry, that's just stupid, but still, you never know when he's going to appear around your back and you want to just smack him in the back of the head and say, what the hell are you doing on my camera? Being on my camera, get the hell out. But you get my point. But he tried to do a little bit of banter with Joe Henry. Now, I'm not expecting him to do banter with Ziggy Dice or Johnny Swinger. That's not going to happen. He really needs who used to be known as Tyler Breeze. Those two had chemistry beyond gold. They were platinum. They were special. That was just me. But they're saying, well, pretty much, who beat up on the director of authority. And it was Joe Henry that thought maybe it might have been Trey Miguel. But since Dirty Dango lost the tuft of hair that the director of authority, Santino Marella, gave him, don't know who it is. He lost it. Now they're trying to figure out what's going on. And he's now saying, I love you, Joe Henry. You're my best friend. Trying to hug him, and Joe Henry don't want nothing of that. He's backing off. So we're going to get a little bit of Junior Detective Dirty Dango. Doesn't mean it's going to work. This is where it's going to be interesting to see how people are going to react. Because as it stands, two people who were comedic gold is now turned to one and is trying to find the right partner. It can hit and miss. For me personally, this was Dirty Dango's stick, and it can work if it's booked correctly with the right person to bounce his comedic attitude off of. And seeing that, I don't know if it's going to be Joe Henry, but we will find out eventually. Now, let's see here. Motor City Machine Guns did also have an interview. Now we're going to have Chris Sabin going after a Trey Miguel because he did pin him. And now a Alex Shelley may actually mess with a Steve Macklin. Good. See, I know that not everyone's going to like Alex Shelley. But for me personally, seeing that they're willing to interject him into the main title scene where he's never had a chance in all the years until last year to get his shot at the title, seeing they're going to use him again means they do trust him, whether he wins or not. That's a good thing. That is a very good thing because they know he can get the job done. He can do pretty good promos and do the work in the ring and make people care. So that is good to see. They are trusting him eventually to go against Macklin, because Macklin is still going to be dealing with PCO, and that leads straight into the 6-man tag, which will be PCO until he got Rhino and I'm actually, honestly, when you see Shira, Champagne Singh, and Steve Macklin come out, the person I thought was going to come out with PCO was going to be Crazy Steve and Black Taurus. I truly thought they were the best people for him to work with, because when it comes to DK, it makes the best sense. You can say when DK can be bad or good, but he belongs in DK. But we get Heath and Rhino because they're having a problem with Champagne and Shira. I mean, I can understand why they did that, because they're trying to build something, maybe because of BTI. I understand it. But for me personally, I wanted DK by PCO's side. They feel just right, like they're going to slot together. In the end, PCO did get the pin on Singh like he did the last time he faced him. And their match is still going. You are going to see Steve Macklin against PCO. But I got to tell you, do I love PCO? Yes, this crazy ass bastard who is older than me. Guys, if you look at me, I don't look that old, even though I got these big ass cheeks here. But in actuality, I'm 52 years old. PCO's maybe 55, 56. He's roughly about my age. Maybe a little bit older, slightly older. I think he's 55, 56. Either between 50 to 55, 56. That is how old he is. He's either my age or a little bit older. And that crazy man doing the damn Deanimator with a messed up shoulder that tends to pop out of place, that in his last match, he had to pop that bitch back in. Literally while the match was going on. I'm like, really? Honestly, when he was when he did the casket match with Eddie, and he popped his shoulder out of place, and he had to pop that sucker in doing a turn, where did he use the, turn post, that one of the posts for the turnbuckles. He had to literally bang it back into place. He's a crazy bastard. But he's someone that decided to go beyond what he used to do. I did see his documentary. He changed his attitude. That's the reason why he's so popular now. He used to be not very good. Now he's good because he changed his attitude. I'm just saying. I'm sorry if I dragged that out. Let's move on. Let me say this. I'm sure not everyone's going to be interested in Rosemary, Jessica, and Father Mitchell. Let's make this clear. Not everyone's going to be interested. because we already know Taya Valkyrie is not in Impact Wrestling. She's not. She's just not there. But due to the fact that they do have this little situation where Rosemary does the Undead Realm stuff, the Coven is trying to go after Deonna Purrazzo as well as Jordan Grace. That they're doing the magical stuff. You have to keep doing it because that's what Rosemary's known for. So seeing Fauna Mitchell come back saying that someone else is interfering with it, it's not the Coven, they don't got the power, but if you want, I'll take you there. And Rosemary does not want Jessica to change back to Havoc. She's off on her own, going to see if she can find Taya. Now the question is, like I said, when Taya left, weeks ago, more than several weeks ago when she left and then appeared on AEW, did she do any recordings to make it understandable so she will not come back? We're going to eventually find out. Either it's going to be at the Impact Plus show or somewhere on Impact TV. I don't know. We'll find out. The best match of the night. Damn. Even with the camera not being perfect, and it was still zooming in most of the time like this, or even like this, there's no denying that this series of matches that Speedball Mike Bailey and Jonathan Gresham has been great. I think this match is just as good as the last match they had, their first match. That damn good. The second match was okay, but honestly, I think the first one was much better. Maybe due to the fact that I'm glad that Gresham won, because I do believe Gresham needed to win. He doesn't need to keep losing. But I'm going to tell you this. If you're not going to watch for Impact, for Trinity, or anything, if you want to see one of the best matches you can see on TV today, you watch Jonathan Gresham and you watch Speedball Mike Bailey. This isn't about how many pinfalls they did. This is about how many holds they did. They did so many different types of holds. Going from scissor holds to headlock holds, swinging back to a scissor hold, doing a Fujiwara armbar, back to a hold for a scissor, I believe at one point, and then trying to make sure that eventually you don't get put into either an abdominal stretch or the octopus or anything else you could think of. They threw literally the kitchen sink at this. That's why it was so damn good. It was damn good, this match. And in the end, Speedball lost. And Gresham the Octopus won, which I'm glad to see. Gresham is one of the best pure wrestlers there is. He just is. And now that he's working with Impact because his wife's there, which is a great thing, he's working with his wife. They can travel together. And the best thing is that if she has a long-term contract, maybe he will sign it as well. And if Impact has the intelligence to understand that he does have charisma, why don't you throw either the X Division or the world title at him? We could get something entirely different. The guy's a sawed-off little runt. He's got to be maybe my height or maybe a little bit taller. He's not a tall guy. He is not. But I give my word that even though he's not that tall, he's like a damn Wolverine. His wife is like Wolverine. No, they say she's a juggernaut. She's a freaking Wolverine. Nothing stops her. She's this. She's this. That's what she is. And it makes sense that the man and wife is there. That's just me, you guys, send below. Let's see. Anything else? I believe that's it. Let's get this done. The Trinity segment. I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous. They advertised her at least 6 times. 5 to 6 times before she finally came out. I was scared because, as I said, the camera work was not that good. It was most on and off like this. And sometimes it was okay. But when you saw that they were using a lot of hard cam instead of the cameramen on the sides, you know someone realized this. They got problems. So I was very concerned that whoever would watch this for the first time, look, if you're watching my video trying to get an idea what you're going to be watching if you watch Impact to see Trinity, I'm going to tell you, Impact does have problems with production. Sometimes the camera work is not that good. And you would see this if you watch the show or you watch highlights. Audio was spotty here. It was very tinny. Let's make it clear. Their audio was tinny throughout the entire night. Even when you hear the commentators, when they actually showed them, the audio was a little tinny, a little bit. But it was tinny for anyone who was in the ring. It was tinny. Lighting was very dim because if you really want to feel immersed, like I want to know how many people in Chicago they're showing there, but they dimmed the lights so much. I still don't understand what they're afraid of. If they got a packed crowd of 2 to 5 or 700 or 900 people in that venue, why don't you show them? I don't understand why Impact doesn't do those things. They got lighting in the place. They can light the place. They choose not to. But even with not very bright lights, so you don't know who's really there. It's not like NXT. Audio was tinny this time. It was tinny. You could hear it yourself. And the camera wasn't great. It was on and off. They liked to zoom in a lot. When you see Trinity for Two came out, Trin, baby, the people exploded. I'm going to tell you right now. Mickie James has made a big pop. Yes, she has. Gail Kim on and off has made a big pop. Anyone you've seen in the last 3 or 4 years that has not been an Impact for a while, they have popped for them. No one has ever made Impact Wrestling pop so loudly in the zone. Impact Zone has never popped that loud in an extremely long time. I don't think I've ever heard Impact had such a huge roar. Whether it was only 200, 500, 900 people in that damn place, wherever they were, that we couldn't see, they were that loud. There's never been anybody that loud before. And when she got to the ring, wearing what she was wearing lighting, I believe I got a shot of it, this is my face. She had LED lights on her collar of her neck to really set her off. And she looked great. Man, my girl looked great. She did. But she could not talk at first. She got emotional. I saw the report that was from Chicago. She went on a Chicago show and talked about how it felt to be working in Impact. I did see Jess Alex's take of Busted Open Radio, and she was on it, and she spoke about how sad and how broken down she was because she was at the lowest she could be. And as you guys know, who's known me for years, I've always said Trinity for Two, Naomi should have left WWE many years ago. I'm one of the few who did. Before anyone else did. I'm one of the few who believed from the very beginning when she was a Funkadactyl till she really worked on the craft, showed what she can do, and became champion twice. I've always been there. Whenever I saw her, I always talked about her. And I always knew if she left the company, she could make it. She's now appeared in Impact Wrestling. And it was great. The fans didn't let her talk for at least a couple of minutes. She made it very clear. She is happy to be back. She's happy people notice that she's back. She decided and put over the Knockouts. Because she said this is the best place for women's wrestling. The Knockouts is the best. Talking about Awesome Kong. Talking about Gail Kim. She didn't say anything about ODB. But that would come up. She did talk about Deonna Purrazzo. She talked about Jordan Grace. She talked about Mickie James. She talked about the who's who generally. But she made it very clear. She's here to make an impact. Which she will. I truly believe, guys, and I will get to Deonna Purrazzo and Jordan Grace in a moment, but I truly do believe that the ratings on Impact will pop. I don't know how big. I'm not going to tell you they're huge, but I can say this. Well, I'll say it after I finish this. Let me give it to you like this when it came to Deonna Purrazzo and Jordan Grace. They both came out. They showed her respect, but it made it very clear it's still about them, and when their moment is done, I believe it's Under Siege, she's going after them. And I'm going to tell you this. That I can't wait to see her go after either Jordan Grace or Deonna Purrazzo. I don't know who she's going after. And I'm not going to ask. I'm going to be alright with either one of them being champ as long as Trin is booked correctly. But I'm going to tell you this. This was an okay show. It wasn't great, but it was okay. But this is something that needs to be understood. The ratings will change. Let's make it clear. The ratings are going to change. There's no way we're going to have low ratings here. Normally, let's make this clear. On Access TV, not talking about the app or YouTube. Not talking about the app or YouTube. We're talking about Access TV because they are still getting the large amount of their budget from Access because they are getting paid by Access. There is no way, if anyone who can get Access TV, who knew Trim was going to be there, they would not look. There's a very strong chance they're going to get a big boost in ratings. It's going to depend. It could be 20,000, 30,000, 40, 50. I can't tell you what the number is going to be. The lowest number they ever had was 79,000. 79,000 at one point. The highest they ever had since they went to Access TV was 220,000. I have no idea where they're going to be, but it will be easily beyond 100,000 if they booked her right here, which they did. I believe it'll easily exceed 100,000. I can't tell you if it's going to be 2. I can't tell you if it's going to be 3. I can't tell you none of that. It may not even go beyond 110. But normally the numbers are not great. Impact Wrestling has been changing. Nick Aldis is on the show. Yes. Now you got Trinity Fatu, woman who was part of WrestleMania and headlined WrestleMania for the women. Once. I am telling you, she's going to pop a rating. The question is going to be how big it will be. I don't know what it will be, but it's going to easily be well beyond 100,000. I don't know if it's going to be something that's going to be 2, 3, or 4. If it happens to go up to 2, that means they got a hit on their hands. I'm making this clear. I'm making this very clear to anyone in Impact. If they see this, book her correctly. Don't screw this up. You have a chance with one of the most well-known women who walked out on WWE, where she had a cushy, good, guaranteed contract. She got sick of it. She didn't want to have nothing to do with it. She chose to walk away, not because Mercedes Moné made her to. No, she made that call on her own. Mercedes made her own call. Both of them got sick of not being treated respectfully with those damn tag titles. She walked, and she was extremely beloved by everyone for years. And now you got her. Please, think carefully how you book this woman and the women in the Knockouts division from now on, like the tag division. Maybe she may want to go into the tag division after she wins the world title whenever she is allowed. I'm telling you, hear my words. Give the tag division love. Give the world title division love. Bring in women to job or to work with these women. Do not screw this up. I'm telling you, don't screw this up, Impact. You must, this is what I believe. Of course, you don't have to listen to a damn word I say, but this is what I believe as someone who's watched the product for 11 years. You need to bring more women in to job or to at least fill in the division for the Knockouts or fill in the division for the Knockouts tag division. You must do it. Bring more women in. Don't be stingy with your money. There's a whole plethora of women out there that's in the independents that can come in and just do a couple of tapings. Make the divisions feel like something. If you don't do it, no one's going to want to watch. Look what happened in 2021 into 22 and now into 23. You could have brought in more women than the one that needed to be jobbing for Marsha Slamovich. You could have brought in more women to do the tag division, more women to bring in for the Knockouts division itself. You could have done multiple matches with women from the outside, with your regular women, and you didn't do it. Please listen to me, if you listen at all, to one of your fans. Fill up the division with women. Make it feel like there's people there. Don't just bring a woman in maybe once every 4 or 5 months and then do a couple of tapings. Tape as many women as you can. Lose some money to make it feel important so people will watch, and maybe you'll get more merch payments. Maybe When you renegotiate a contract with Access TV, maybe they'll give you a bigger budget. Please. Or maybe a new network will see if you got more women there, you might be a competitor a little more than New Japan Pro Wrestling since they air after you. I'm just saying. Peace.